Hi, I'm Brett Hermansen. We're here in the Van Gogh shop where we just got off the trail the other day. You're going to see that on the show. We're going to go through the side-by-side and we're going to go through the whole thing. We did break a few things, so there's some things we know we have to fix, and we're going to check others. So here we go. This is a wear-out item on these vehicles. So anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 miles, you'll probably want to start really looking at it, no matter how well you maintain them. I blow the dust out of this pretty much every time I come back. Even doing that, this does wear out. The harder you drive it, the more it wears out. So that's closer to 3,000. Sometimes they'll even go out at 2,000 miles. So it is a wear out item. This is unfortunate, but this rig has 3,500 miles on it. So it's time to change it. Well, the thing that we did break is our clutches. We've got both clutches here. It's best to replace them both at the same time, your front and back. We took the tire off because it makes it easier to get in here. You take your vent tube off, just tuck that out of the way. It doesn't really matter, it can stay right there. I've already taken the bolts off for the clutch cover. Get your clutch cover off, just set it somewhere. And now, they make a tool that when you're on the trail so you can change your belt and you'll pull this apart, but we're gonna take it all apart anyhow, so just take the bolt out. You will need an impact to do that because otherwise you'll just spin it. And then now that you've taken that bolt out, just take your belt out. And it's probably a good idea if you do something like that, replace this belt. So now, we'll take the back clutch off. This, we are gonna use parts off of it that are in here, so we don't wanna throw this away. Now the front clutch, take that bolt out. Now what you have to do is, you have to have a clutch puller. Neat little tool you buy for about 50 bucks down at the store. You put it in where that bolt was, and you screw it right on in. Just give it a hit, takes the clutch right off. Otherwise, this clutch is on there, and it will not come off without this puller. Now on this thing is spring-loaded, so be careful. You want to take off all the bolts. I've taken off all these. You want to leave these that are right across from each other in. So you take these off. Now, what you do is you hold that. And then you take the other one off. Now, there is nothing, it's not gonna go too far, but a lot of times it will. And sometimes what you gotta do to get it to come off, and it might still spring on me. Yep, there we go. You've got to take it, like I said, it's not under a lot of pressure, but it is under some. And if you just tap that, you're gonna catch this right in the face. So be real careful. These are your weights. This is what our problem was. This is a new weight. This is an old weight. By having it worn down, there's not enough weight on it, so it won't go into high gear, it'll stick. And so these are all toast. They do say replace the spring, but it's not a race car, so, I'm not gonna replace the spring this time. But all this goes once you get the spring out of it. And now here's your nice brand new one. And what you want to do is, you can take all these out, and I like to just take it apart so you can see what you're doing. And I just usually set that stuff aside. And the difference is on this and that one, the reason I'm replacing it is because this one slides real easy. The old one, not so much, and it's a little loose. It just doesn't glide like this one does. So you may think this is fine, but it'll burn out your weights in a big hurry if you don't replace this. Now, this is where you start getting a little technical. Put your new weight in, and it helps if you put your finger back there, put the weight on it, so the weight, you can hold it and align it so you can put that rod back through, and then it can just fall after that. And then you take and they give you these new rods mainly because this little lock nut is a one-time use. So once you've used it once, you're really not, it won't lock as good the second time. And then all you do is just repeat. Go all the way around it, doing the same thing. The other reason you replace the whole piece is there's actually a little wheel right up in here that this weight rolls on. And obviously, if the weight is worn out as much as it is, that little wheel is worn out too. So it will just wear out the next set of weights anyhow. So yeah, you do need to replace this whole thing. And once again, you just hold that down so those will go in there. There. And just repeat back what you did. Put them two in, that'll hold it all together, squared up. Just stick these in. Of course, you're always going to get the haters that are going to say you should torque these. Make them tight. And there we go. We got our new primary clutch in. So we can just go ahead and put this right back in. And all you do is just reverse what you've done before. One of the reasons we're replacing this is on this, what you do is you have this little puck here, they call it, that slides up and down as it's going. Well, you can see how loose all this is. What it's done is it's actually worn this piece right here and the puck a little bit. So you want to replace it. And what we have to do is on the back side, there's a little, they call it a helix. It's what this thing rolls on. And so what we need to do, and once again, this is going to be spring loaded. Yeah. So you want to be careful. Once again, it's spring loaded. So now, once again, now this one, what you want to do is this spring only goes one way. It has a little ear that pokes out. That is the part that goes down, and it will go right into a little ear right here. On this, my old one, see now the wheels were still good and all that. So the helix, which is this piece here, generally didn't get worn. And so that all feels really good. It's not grooved. Realistically, if I could get one, which right now I can't, I would probably just be safe and replace this anyhow, but I can't get one. And this one's really not worn. You know, it doesn't feel worn hardly at all, so we're gonna go with this. I may, at a later date, if I can get one of these, I may put a new one in anyhow. But for now, we're gonna go with the old one. And then what you have to do is you have to make sure that, you know, this just goes in and it has to go in the right way. The spring cradles up in here, so it has to go in just like that. It's gonna come right back and go right over the top of that. And this is the fun part. This is where it pays to have a friend helping you out on this, because it's almost impossible to do by yourself. Putting it back on, I like to do it manually so you don't strip anything and you know, you can feel if anything's going wrong. And there we are. We're all put back together right. This one, they're kind of a little loose anyhow, but this one, it doesn't slop that way too much, you know, like the old one did. And then once again, what we'll do is we'll take this and just put it on. What you got to do is you got to kind of play with this. And the problem is the shaft wants to spin. You got to find the inside spline so it'll go on all the way. Your new belt, if you'll notice it says Polaris on it, you want to put that on so you can read Polaris. This is backwards, that's the right way. And what happens is this belt is directional. It goes one way. And so you've got to put it on the right way. Otherwise it makes the belt not last as long. And people talk about how their belts, they've grenaded it and it's fragments everywhere. That's probably because it's on backwards. So make sure you can read Polaris when you put your new belt on. If everything's good, this clutch should go in, the belt should start spinning that. Just like that. And then it comes right back out. Looks like everything's good. The other one, what it was doing is that was going in and sticking, so it wasn't coming back into first gear. But now, the old girl ought to run like she's brand new again. And a good tip on these, once again, this is another thing that you put back in manually. Don't screw it back in with a power tool. These strip out really easy, and you'll end up stripping them out because all they're doing is going into plastic. And all you do is just put them all on. Some of them down here are a little more difficult to get to. So if you're not comfortable doing this all yourself, Jorgensen's, Stedman's all have great service departments. They can take care of this for you. You don't even have to worry about it. Now all you gotta do is just wash it, put more gas in it, and we're ready to go out riding again.